the southern Pacific Ocean lies a group of 3 islands, which make up one of the oldest island landmasses on Earth, New Zealand. Set adrift from the continent of Gondwana about 80 million years ago, these islands have sat isolated in the South Pacific, evolving as a sort of a biological time capsule. In the southwest of the South Island lies Fiordland, the most ancient landscape in this ancient land. A landscape which reaches back hundreds of millions of years. Every conceivable force of nature has worked to shape the islands of New Zealand. Volcanoes, earthquakes and glaciers have pushed and pulled against each other in a battle that has waged for millions of years. 2 million years ago, this landscape was blanketed by glaciers reaching out to the sea. But as the Ice Age came to an end, the great sheets of ice began to melt and retreat back to the mountains. The sea rushed into the huge gouges cut by the glaciers, leaving the great fiords that gave Fiordland its name. The retreating ice left not only fiords, but large U-shaped valleys. The Māori people say sea gods sculpted this remote land. However it was formed, the sheer cliffs stand testament to the powerful forces which have been at work for millions of years. Rudyard Kipling described Fiordland's Milford Sound as the 8th wonder of the world. It's a wonder shared today by thousands of visitors who journey down this ancient ice path. In a boat trip of just under 2 hours, travellers come face to face with the remnants of the Ice Age. One of the most notable, the distinctively shaped Mitre Peak. In winter, Mitre Peak is cloaked with snow, and though in summer its granite face is bare, it remains one of the country's most photographed landmarks. Many of the surrounding peaks remain covered in snow all year round, their melting snow feeding the many waterfalls which cascade into Milford Sound. In all there are 14 fiords. Milford is by far the grandest, but 100 kilometres to the south lies Doubtful Sound, the deepest of all the fiords. Drifting in this peaceful solitude with bush-clad cliffs towering alongside, it's easy to see how Doubtful Sound has earned the title the Sound of Silence. Although the Māori almost certainly navigated these waters earlier, Captain Cook was the first recorded European to enter the Sound. He called it Doubtful Harbour, unsure that once he'd entered it, he'd be able to sail out again. Today, the travellers come from all over the world to experience the cloistered serenity of this remote waterway, and to gaze on rock walls which have recorded and preserved forever the retreat of the last great Ice Age. Fiordland's wilderness isn't just about boat trips. The area also offers some of the finest walking in the world. Mighty greenstone trails, remote rainforests, and mysterious shrouded lakes are just as much a part of the Ice Age's legacy as the fjords. Each step along the way reveals the unique qualities of Fiordland, qualities which were recognised when the area received World Heritage Park status. Fiordland is now one of the select few areas in the world which have been accorded such prestigious protection. There are 500 kilometres of walkways through Fiordland. The route burn passes through both Fiordland and Mount Aspiring National Parks. The Hollyford follows the Hollyford River out to the Tasman Sea. The greenstone follows one of the trails used by Māori to bring out the treasured stone. And the most popular, attracting thousands each year, the Milford Track. The route burn is the second most popular track through the wilderness of Fiordland National Park. Like many of the park's other tracks, the route burn offers an incredible diversity of scenery. Walkers can begin in the grassy lowlands and then follow the footsteps of early explorers, climbing to the Harris Saddle to look across the Hollyford Valley to the foot of the Daryl Mountains. Though the first visitors to Fiordland had no choice and had to trudge every step of the way, present-day journeyers can begin the Hollyford Trail with an exhilarating jetboat ride. Leaving the modern world conveniences, trampers can continue to retrace the steps of bygone pioneers in the shadows of the Daryl Mountains. Trampers follow the path of what was surely one of Fiordland's longest glaciers, a path which takes them over 4 days, down the Hollyford River and out to the Tasman Sea.
Hard to tell. He looks a young one.
Before European explorers, the Māori scoured these wild, often uninviting mountains in their quest for the highly prized greenstone. A rock harder than iron, Māoris needed the gemstone for tools, weapons and ornaments. Though little is known of the exact routes they took, by following the greenstone track, trampers can explore some of the valleys once trodden by the Māori.
Up around the top of the peak, it's snow all year round. It's permanent snow and ice. But you get snow pretty good any time of year in January.
Beginning with a leisurely cruise on Lake Te Anau, wilderness walkers can follow another greenstone trail used by the Māori. It's Fiordland's supreme drawcard, Milford Track, the most popular of all the park's trails. The track begins with a low-level walk through dense beech forest, a forest which links New Zealand inextricably to the old continent of Gondwana. Fossilised remnants of beech forest have even been discovered beneath the ice of Antarctica. But as the trees become smaller and vegetation more alpine, walkers start a long, hard climb to one of the trail's features, McKinnon Pass. Named after one of the first European explorers to cross this formidable barrier, McKinnon Pass is breathtaking, in more ways than one. At the top, trampers can relax and contemplate an achievement which for many will be the achievement of a lifetime. From the bottom of McKinnon Pass, it's a short walk to yet another highlight of the Milford Track. Sutherland Falls is the third highest waterfall in the world. At its base, it generates winds of such proportion that trampers appear to be engulfed in a storm. The fall cascades in three giant leaps from Lake Quill, 580 metres above, dwarfing trampers and drowning out all other sounds. Although Fiordland abounds with waterfalls, there are few to match the splendour and power of the one the Māoris call Te Tautere. Gentler moments are just as much a part of the 4-day tramp on the Milford Track, offering walkers a chance to experience some of the wildlife which abounds in this, one of the world's largest national parks. The weather too plays its part in providing trampers with the full range of Fiordland experiences. The place of snow and ice in past ages is now replaced by rain. In Milford Sound, more than 6 metres of it per year. For many trampers, Fiordland lives up to its claim to being the wildest, most isolated and wettest part of New Zealand. And although tramping in these conditions does have certain drawbacks, they're more than matched by the spectacle which unfolds all around as waterfalls, streams and rivers spring to life. The 4-day walk on Milford Track has been described as one of the finest walks in the world. Whether in sun or rain, it offers people from all walks of life the chance to experience a true wilderness. There can be few who leave this place unchanged by the experience.
I could see that it is a most unusual place in the world, where enormous glaciers on both sides, chewed away and chopped these tremendous cirques. It may be paralleled somewhere else, but I doubt it.
In one place in the middle of all this natural grandeur, nature has given way to human industry. Lake Munapudi, one of Fiordland's Great Lakes, and a name synonymous with the awakening of a nation's environmental awareness. Plans to raise the level of this wilderness lake to feed a hydroelectric power station met with unprecedented opposition from the New Zealand public. More than 250,000 people petitioned the government to protect Lake Munapudi, and after a commission of inquiry, that protection was granted. Today the lake level is controlled within its natural fluctuations, but is still able to drive the turbines of New Zealand's largest power station. The huge powerhouse, buried deep beneath the Earth's surface, is one of the country's great engineering achievements and has proved to be one of Fiordland's great tourist attractions. At night in Fiordland, you can be forgiven for feeling that you've stepped back in time, to a land which time itself has forgotten. Within easy walking distance of huts, trampers can explore in complete safety a nocturnal world of surprising beauty. Bathed in moonlight, the remote forest comes alive with an array of dwellers, including one of the world's rarest birds, kakapo the night parrot. Once these large, lumbering birds were found throughout New Zealand, scouring the forest floor for food. The floor was their home, not trees like other birds. In this plentiful environment, the moss-green parrot had grown too big to fly. But it didn't matter. The kakapo had no need for flight. The forest floor was safe. The arrival of people changed that. Rats, stoats and wild cats were introduced, and the big, slow-moving kakapo became easy game for these new animals. The introduced animals hunted and killed kakapo, and the population was all but wiped out in New Zealand. Even in remote Fiordland, their population became dangerously low, and only a handful survived. To this day, to sight a kakapo in its natural habitat is a very rare occurrence. The kakapo is a symbol of Fiordland, showing the need to fiercely guard this precious wilderness. It's no wonder tales of lost tribes and sightings of creatures such as otters and moose emanate from this wild landscape. Mystery and mood shroud Fiordland. In fact, some corners are so remote that even to this day they remain unexplored. The clear waters of Fiordland often attract divers. However, until recently, the greater depths of the fjords remained beyond reach. Divers had explored these sheer cliff walls down to depths of 70 metres, and their discoveries, even to those depths, indicated a world to match the antiquity of that which existed above. Now, depths of over 300 metres need no longer be a closed door. A remote-operated vehicle, the Phantom, is journeying into this uncharted world, recording yet another facet of this amazing wilderness. An underwater world which surely rivals the spectacle on land. While sites like these remain the domain of a few specialist visitors to Fiordland, there is another world beneath the surface with far easier access. On the shores of Lake Te Anau, a subterranean world. These limestone caves were discovered by the Māori, who named them Te Anau, the caves of rushing water. Like the landmass above, this world too has been sculpted, not by ice, but by water, which eats away at the limestone walls as it rushes through this underground labyrinth. The honeycomb world appears almost devoid of life, but in dark hollows, fairy strings of pearls shine. They are the threads that hang from the glowworms. Covered in sticky mucus, the fine threads ensnare flying insects, which are attracted to the sparkling light. The sparkling lights of the glowworms have proved an equally irresistible attraction to tourists as well. Like the rest of Fiordland, the Caves of Rushing Waters offers first-hand a glimpse of nature's handiwork. Despite the tens of thousands of visitors who have passed through the park, Fiordland remains a true wilderness, relatively untouched by human presence. In this remote corner of the world, where nature has been at work for millions of years, we, the most influential and arguably the most destructive of Earth's species, somehow seem dwarfed.